everybody. Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 234. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E, sitting here on a Saturday, recording a little early this weekend, coming off our first bye week since the off season. So I'm feeling a little bit refreshed. We got a lot of listener questions to get through today, a couple pieces of news in there, but I'll ask you as I always do. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm excited, man. It's going to be a fun one. It's my brother's birthday tomorrow, so we're shooting a little early, recording a little early. I don't know if we're shooting anything, but recording a little early.
Are on screen.
That's true. Recording a little early here. Got some fun questions lined up. I think it'll be a fun little pod to do here. But I'm doing well, man, and excited for tonight. I'm going out celebrating my brother's birthday, so looking forward to that. I had to get up 9:30 to get a haircut.
Boo fucking who?
Which, God, only the strongest are up at that hour. I tell you what, man, it was rough.
Well, I appreciate the compliment. I was up at 7:45 on my own.
Well, those are crazies. The strong are up at 9:30. The lunatics, they get up before that.
Okay. Yeah, man. And I'm, we don't have a ton of news really for the first team here, but it's been nice to see those guys, on their social medias getting away, taking some vacations. Nice little breather for us too. And I don't know if I could feel this way if the team hadn't banked 6 points over the last 2 weeks. So Shout out to the team once again, putting us in a healthy spot here. And we are now just about a week away from the first team being back in action and just a couple days away from league games returning. Again, just a reminder, there is a full slate of games this Wednesday. Austin just has a bye, as the rest of the league pretty much has at least one game in hand. Enough of that. Let's get into this. Before we get into the rest of episode 234, just want to remind all the people listening or watching on the YouTube channel that you can support the show financially by downloading the audio versions of all of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. So Apple, Spotify, wherever you're getting those pods, toggle on auto downloads. That will support the show going forward, and you won't have to think about it again. If you want to go the extra mile, you can rate and review the show wherever you get your podcast. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hitting that subscribe button does help us grow the show, and you can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, here on episode 234, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So just one piece of news coming all the way from last weekend on Sunday, team of the match day. Guilherme Biru gets in there, Spider Biru himself, and I am certainly entertained by his little picture that he took preseason here right at Media Day. Biru saluting the camera. We salute you, Guilherme. Of course, opened the scoring at home last Saturday against Red Bull, so well-deserved for Guilherme.
Well-deserved. You absolutely love to see it. You just love to see that.
Yeah, man.
Just add attention. He knew it was coming. He knew he was going to get on there. So
I know. And you see, there's a couple other different poses here. You've got Juan Mosquera pointing to the Timbers badge, kind of a similar. Looks like Joao Klaus is showing off the Purina logo on his jersey, but Prince Owusu putting the little crown on. I like that one. Hannes Wolf also very excited, but Biru definitely the best one there.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the listener questions. So the first thing I want to say, is shout out to everybody who submitted questions. We are certainly not going to be able to get to all of the questions. And some listeners submitted like 6 to 10 questions, like multiple people writing in a ton of stuff, which again, I don't think we'll have time to get through everything. So we have parsed it down a little bit here, but some folks did still get multiple questions. Onto the Wheel of Destiny here, because, we could organize these questions in a way that it would flow throughout the episode and maybe make more sense. No. That's not how we do things here. Whether it's your best ball draft order, ticket giveaways, right? If we're playing a FIFA tournament, right? We're going to use the Wheel of Destiny. So we're going to use the Wheel of Destiny here to just bring these questions up randomly. And I know for some of these, I gave you like, especially some that like are maybe more personal towards you, like gave you a little heads up on some of what's coming here.
Mm-hmm.
But some of it I think could surprise, and I think it'll be a little bit of fun. So before I spin the wheel here, E, and find out where we go first, anything for you before we get into this?
No, I'm ready. Spin that thing.
All right.
Chew on that
Chew
thing.
on that thing. Oh, can't wait for Always Sunny. There's your episode title, I think, early on here. First question, and this comes from Johnny. So appreciate Johnny for sending this in. E, the question is, I like how I think we're gonna get, I don't know if you can hear the applause coming through there from the Wheel of Destiny. I hope that comes through on the recording. It doesn't, damn. Well, I'm being serenaded by applause here.
Nice.
What player profile should we prioritize during the transfer window? Should it be someone who can play as a 10, or does Owen Wolf show enough promise in that role? And again, that's from Johnny. So I'll throw that to you first.
It's a good question right out the gate here. We're just not playing a whole lot of like 10. It's not like a super priority.
Not like a pure
it's
chance
not
creator,
like,
right?
Yes, that's like not how this team has been structured right now, for better or for worse, with how this roster has been built. I think if we were going to go that route and prioritize that position being more of a vocal point on our offense, then yes, I would be looking at that as a position that I'd be really excited about. I think Owen is probably more versatile than he is a specialty player at one position. So if you had someone coming in with the player profile of a 10 that was a high caliber player, I think I'd be really, really excited about that. And like I've mentioned that when some of these other rumors have popped up, particularly now that we saw the Tutti Andrade and then the last guy from River Plate, who I forgot his name.
Manuel Lanzini.
More of a attacking mid style of player. So like I was excited about both of those names, but I would say yes, I would be prioritizing an attacking mid in this transfer window here.
Yeah. And I think more specifically, like I think if you want to say prioritizing a 10, right, it's for me, it's chance creation. Like we are not near the bottom of the league in chance creation, but the finishing is where we're really struggling. But unless you're moving out one of those DPs, which again, I don't think is super likely, more chance creation, even, getting up to the top of the league would make some sense to me. And I think, right, just through the rumors, you kind of see what Roto is looking at here, right? Kind of midfielders on both sides of the ball, right? Because we think Nicky Bolocco is kind of signed, sealed, delivered here, and he's a little bit more on the defensive side of things. Again, just watching highlights. But I would also say we need to prioritize a center back. I don't know if it is your top priority, but like we need more than 3.
Yeah.
You need more than 3.
Yeah.
Even assuming health, because it just gives you that flexibility. If you want to go out there and play with 3 center backs against one of these teams down the stretch run, right? Maybe that's a change you even make in a best of 3 series, right? Adjusting to an opponent. And we know that Nico likes to kind of tweak his lineups game to game more often than not here through his first 20 or so matches in Austin. So I think ultimately I agree kind of that chance creation, 10, attacking mid, whatever you want to call it. If we could only bring in one player profile, that would also be mine. But center back for me is kind of is a 1B.
Yeah, it's under the radar, that center back position. We need that depth for sure. So I like that.
All right, back to the wheel here. And if, we can't hear on the recording these, fun Wheel of Fortune noises here, we'll talk over this thing spinning. So this next question comes from Matthew. So appreciate Matthew here. And Matthew is asking, with John Gallagher pushed up top now that Mikael Dessler is back healthy, where does Robert Taylor fit in with the squad? Do you think Galley and Taylor will be fighting to relieve Mirtu Azuni, or will we see some other configuration? So I'll start with this one, E, because I have a thought right off the bat in terms of John being pushed up. I don't think he's long for the starting spot there. I think ultimately when we come back from this break, I expect to see Mirtu Azuni over there, maybe not against Seattle, but in short order, right? Once we get to that LAFC match, that is the double game week with the San Jose Open Cup quarterfinal. We're going to see some rotation. We're going to see Mirtu Azuni get back into the starting lineup at some point soon. And I just don't think we're at the point where we're making Mirtu Azuni a bench player. And ultimately, I don't want to run John Gallagher consistently as a starting winger, because we need him for our fullback depth. Right? Like anytime Dessler needs to come out, Johnny's the guy.
Yeah.
So I don't think he is the long-term starter up there. But again, as we continue this, 2 games, I guess, depending on who you're talking to, 2 games in a row to the good, maybe not a win streak, but until you lose or draw, I could totally see the argument for just running the same 11 that we have been, but I don't think that's the long-term solution there. I think for me, it would be more between Mirtu and Robert Taylor. And I just think the price tag, right? You get a lot of wiggle room with your form when you were purchased for $12 million plus, 6 months ago.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I do not think that Johnny is locked into that starting position on the wing going forward here. And I know that there's another question coming up about the lineup with Mirtu and everything like that. So I'll save more of how I feel about that for that question when it rolls through. But I do think it comes down to Mirtu and Taylor. And again, he's not playing to what we expected him to play, Mirtu, that is. He is not living up to his own expectations right now. It has been a struggle for him. Absolutely. All of those things are true. But still, when we are presenting a lineup that has ceiling potential, Mirtu Azuni is in the 11 for me. And I know it's seemed like a super long time since he's arrived and how this has progressed with him and everything like that. But I'm still more than open to giving him time to really get comfortable and hopefully make this thing work the way that we envisioned it to work. Johnny's fullback depth and other positional depth for me as well. Like you said, when Dessler's got to come out, which we've seen, because we haven't seen a whole lot of 90 out of Dessler, particularly with some of his injuries that he's racked up in his short time here, that Johnny gets slotted back there anyway. So I'd much rather have a fully ready to go, non-super sweaty, been running for 65 minutes, John Gallagher slotting back into that fullback position. And we also know he can play on the left side as well on that back line, despite the fact that Komanic has had his best season in Austin since he's been here this year.
Yeah. And just to not leave the part of the question where Matthew says, where does Taylor fit in with the squad? I think if all goes according to plan, and this is the plan in my head, not what the coaching staff is thinking, of course, but he's a backup midfielder / left winger. He's backing up Mirtu. And again, one thing I do want to bring up is we are, again, one goal here or there doesn't change the fact that Mirtu has been underwhelming, but the team as a whole has been as well. And we're just one boneheaded decision from hot air last game away from Mirtu scoring at the end of that game in stoppage time. And then our narrative this week is, well, he went home, he came back, he scored off the bench. Now he's going to get rolling, right? So I still feel optimistic about Mirtu down the stretch run of the season here. But Taylor, backup for you, assuming health and assuming all's going according to plan.
Yes, depth piece, and a great depth piece at that. I think another guy that you can move around to a lot of different positions if we're playing him at wing or if we want to slot him in the midfield as well.
And I think the important thing is that all 3 of the names brought up in Matthew's question here, we're fine when they're in the starting lineup. Feel good.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're talking about 3 guys that can play one position and we feel good about them starting. Has that ever happened at any position in Austin's history? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it.
No.
We move on to the next question here. The wheel goes round and round. And the next question here, question number 3E. This comes from Jorge. And Jorge asks, which MLS stadium would you love to go watch an Austin FC away match at? I can tell you where I don't want to go watch, and we've never been, but Houston Stadium's disgusting.
Oh, yeah, that's the question.
That's part of the reason why we haven't been to Houston.
I totally agree with you.
We've only been to, in terms of MLS away stadiums, like we've only been to Dallas or
Yeah.
Frisco
Yeah,
rather.
that's right. And then we did San Antonio for an Open Cup one time,
Yeah.
and that didn't go great. For me, it's probably Portland or Seattle.
Okay.
Just given the atmosphere up there,
Mhm.
and at both places,
Yeah.
given the history, the tradition that those teams have up there, the fan base that they have, I just feel like it'd be really rocking. And
Mhm.
two really beautiful states that I would like to visit. So those would be my two probably.
That's a good shout. I think Providence Park, just for like the history of the
Yeah,
site, right?
yeah.
In terms of soccer in the Pacific Northwest and the states overall, right? That ground has been there for over 100 years. I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure in various forms. So to avoid just copying that, I think I'm gonna say the bank in LA, and not
Okay.
necessarily for the locale or the stadium itself, but like to go experience the 3252 when they're, humming and the stadium is packed out and loud, like just to kind of experience that, I think would be cool.
Yeah.
Um, and then if I'm thinking of like an Eastern Conference team, this stadium isn't built yet, but man, when that NYCFC stadium gets completed in Queens, like I think that would be a really cool stadium, right in the middle
Yeah.
of the boroughs there to go check out.
Yeah, I'd be there.
All right, we move on. Appreciate Jorge for that question.
We need some music in here.
I know,
Ding,
right?
ding.
So,
Oh
all
boy.
right. Tex Constant Craig, our boy, says or asks rather, what are your game day rituals? And Craig, we got a lot,
Yeah.
and they're all silly and stupid. I think like the more like, I guess traditional is maybe not the right term, but like shots of victory, right?
Yep.
Which, to be honest, we haven't done a ton this year. And I don't
Uh-huh.
know if that is our age catching up to us or like the shots of victory haven't produced a ton of victories in the past couple of years. So just like pass on it sometimes. But that's one of them. What else you got?
Yeah, I was gonna say at this point they're just shots.
Yeah.
This is what our game day looks like when we're going to the queue. I text Zach, I say, what's the schedule? He sends me a detailed list of when I should be there, when we're leaving, when we're gonna eat, when I'll be home or playing darts. He
Man with the
usually
plan.
adds the time frame where he gives me like be here at 5:30, but he actually means like don't be here later than like 5:50.
Yeah.
So I usually show up at like 5:52, something like that. Stroll in, get attacked by his dog.
Yep.
Wemby shows me all kinds of love. Quickly roll the blunt of justice, which is definitely a big part of our game day ritual. Get nice and baked before we go up there. I proceed to pound 3 beers. I offer you one. You don't drink one. I start smoking. I start smoking the preemptive black and mild of victory. We sit outside, talk shit to each other for a while. Shots of victory. Then we get up. Now we've introduced the corner store, the gas station there, and it was usually go to the bathroom there.
Yeah.
Get situated. Then there was a whole scenario where they stopped letting us use the bathroom, but we have gained access as of last game. So that ritual is back.
Always open for you, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Is it?
And then stroll into the stadium properly, buzzed and humming and ready to go.
Yeah, and strolling into the stadium, like if we want to time it as we can be sitting down as the first whistle blows.
Yeah.
We're pretty good at that.
We have gotten good at it.
But you left out what I think is your favorite part actually of our game day rituals. Mirror pick.
Oh, mirror pick. Yeah, mirror pick's great. Oh shit, I did. Damn.
So any whether it's just me or E or whoever is coming with us that day, we take a little selfie in the mirror. So like, and I know you've been pushing me to put together a little compilation of all the mirror picks from the last couple of years because I've been slacking. So I'll get on that.
Okay.
But there's some game day rituals, right?
Good deal.
So appreciate our buddy Tex Constant Craig for writing in there.
First ever ticket giveaway winner, yeah?
Yeah, correct. Tex Constant Craig, first ever giveaway winner. Here we go. This is P Mike.
Hey.
All right, so P Mike is asking, would the North End ever consider guest hosts for big episodes and or celebrity picks here? I guess we've had like I consider these guest celebrity hosts. Like I think there's been 2 times in our 233 previous episodes plus live streams where you were not able to make it for one reason or another, and the North End Pirates stepped in. But I think those are the only times outside of like the live streams, right, where we bring on our friends, whether it's Phil West or Hernan or Landon and Jeremiah, like the VP boys, right? List goes on. Profe was on one of the live streams. That was a blast. Logan. But like, what do you think about this? Like, if you were like, let's think bigger, right? If you can get anybody you want to host a North End episode, who's it gonna be?
Anyone?
I mean, it's P Mike left it open for you here.
I mean, Sydney Sweeney probably. If we're saying anyone.
Yeah, but what is that? I mean,
what does that do?
But what does she know about? What does she know about Austin FC?
What do you know about Austin FC? I would much rather do an episode with Sydney Sweeney.
Do you know more about Sydney or Austin FC?
It's probably the same. It's probably equal.
Okay.
I don't want to put somebody ahead.
You're not picking favorites, huh?
Let's see. Celebrity P Mike, the man's an actor. He's a celebrity.
Right.
He's actually in movies. I would be open to a P Mike collaboration there. Shit, man. I mean, we had Lahoud on. I guess he wasn't a co-host, but like,
right, he was pretty big.
He was pretty big. At celebrity picks, as in like, not like pick the game. Like,
like a celebrity pick to like do a guest spot like on the pod, or like a guest host, right? Like, I'm out of here, you get somebody to host the pod with, or vice versa for me.
Okay, I'd throw P Mike in for you, easy.
Okay, nice. Yeah. I just remembered as we're talking about P Mike that I need to text him back, so I will text you back after this, P Mike.
Okay.
My pick, give me Roto.
Oh my God, you love Roto so much.
He's my guy.
You love Roto so much, man.
Him or Ethan Finley.
Okay.
I don't know which of those guys would, I don't know if we can like mold them into like North End material, right? We've seen Ethan Finley standing in the North End this year.
That's true. Yeah,
but, getting a little... he's dipping his toes.
Yeah, right? Getting a little taste, little smell of the action there in 123. Let's get Keith Costigan on there. We'll just berate him.
Keith Costigan, you and I both can't host. It's Keith and it's P Mike. Best friends. That's a deep cut. Next question here from our buddy Hudson. So appreciate Hudson for writing in here. He said, all right, we got to tighten up here. This is more of a roster question here. What do you make of the goalkeeper situation in the coming years? At what point do you switch away from Brad Stuver? And so I think, we have a couple aids here, in terms of how we can visualize these questions that come in. So looking at our depth charts here at the northendpodcast.com, and we have the depth charts with the contracts by year. 3 goalkeepers on the senior, or not on the senior roster, on the first team roster, 2 senior, 1 supplemental. Stuver and Cleveland on the senior, Damian Loss on the supplemental. Both Stuver and Cleveland are expiring this winter, and we have team options for both players. Damian Loss is under contract for the next 3 years. He doesn't expire until the end of the 2027 season, and then there is an additional team option on that contract. So what do you make of this with the 2 senior roster keepers both expiring?
I mean, I'll start with the when do you go away from Brad? That's part of the question, right?
Yes, correct.
Until I see it. Until I see that that's something that we need to do. Because, yes, he's 34 right now, but he's not slowing down. We know that he's a consummate professional who takes care of his business, takes care of his body, does the right things in the off season. And when we had him on as a guest, talking about his off season program, I remember him putting on would he lose some? No, put on some muscle. I remember he looked significantly bigger. We were talking about that. So until I see Brad kind of fall off, he's the starting goalkeeper here for me. Then when you get into the Cleveland Loss situation, in my ideal world, we're not picking up this Cleveland option here after he expires, and Damian comes in, and then you have some competition. You try to see where Damian's at, because right now the bar is Brad Stuver. This is the bar for Austin FC goalkeeping. He has been above average every single season he's been in the league. And at this point, I think he has elevated and raised his game, particularly after what we were asking him to do last season, which was just absorb a violent amount of shots. So I think for me, it'd be, you're not picking up Cleveland. You bring Damian in, and let's see what Damian's really got. Like Damian's been probably the best keeper in USL since he's got there. He's on a short list of names in that league in regard to the upper echelon of goalkeepers. So like if he needs to take that next step, and he needs that, which we know Damian, competitive guy, wants to, they took the goalie war thing super serious and everything. Like he wants to win. So like if that's what he's all about, then you bring him in with Brad and everything. You can see Brad turning 35, 36. Damian at that point becoming, more entering into his prime. I could see a switch happening at that point around 2027, unless something happens with Brad where he falls off a cliff. And I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much with you on that, right? Like, no signs of Stuver slowing down from what I can tell. And so we're not going away from him. But like you mentioned, right, if Cleveland isn't picked back up, and I think from a roster build standpoint, if we just go to the senior supplemental breakdown here on our sheets, like, you can do a lot with one senior slot in terms of field players, whether it's depth or bringing in, trying to bring in competition for a starting spot. So, like, I would love if going forward after this year, we keep one keeper on the senior roster, unless that senior roster number goes up, right, in the coming years. New CBA in a couple years, maybe we get 22 senior roster spots or something to that effect. But with just 20, man, like, I don't think it's optimal roster building to have two guys.
I agree.
Because there's, if you take a keeper injury, tough, right? It could be tough. But in our situation, I feel pretty darn good about Damian Lass. So that's how I envision it next year. If I'm in that room with Roto and his staff, I'm at least throwing the idea out there. Hey, like, if Damian's ready, let's do that. We can bring in a third keeper on a supplemental deal, right? Because how many games have we seen Brad miss in his career? Like
2,
5 or 6 tops.
Oh, sure. Really? I thought it was less than that.
Was the knee in 22 when he busted his knee up on that midfield goal down in Houston? He missed like 3 or 4 or 5 maybe with Tarbell in goal, and then he's missed at least one other with an illness. But again, that's not a lot in 4.5 seasons. Yeah. So that's a good question though, man. By who asked that? By Hudson there. So shout out to Hudson.
Shout out Hudson, man. Hudson's a good dude, man.
And we move on to the next question here on the wheel, E. Removing these questions from the wheel as we go. So a lot to get through here. And this comes from our buddy Mackey. So Stephen Mackey is asking, can you explain what discovery rights even are? Like Inter Miami with Kevin De Bruyne. And I don't even know, does Miami, I don't remember if they ended up with De Bruyne's discovery rights. I think they did. It was San Diego initially, and then they just ditched him after he wasn't in their plans. But here we've got the discovery process from the roster rules and regulations pulled up here, E. And to simplify it without going through these multiple paragraphs, like I could scroll on this screen here on the YouTube for the rules, but ultimately, the discovery process boils down to putting players on a discovery list gives you the right basically to negotiate with them. You're the only MLS team that can sign that player. And if that player wants to go to another team, that team then has to pay you GAM to get that player from your discovery list. So I will say before I go into the kind of list of qualifications that players have to be on this list, I think this is antiquated in the sense of MLS rules where, like, I wouldn't be surprised even at the next CBA that the discovery list just isn't a thing. But to get on the discovery list, you can't add a player who is currently in the league. You can't add a player who was in the league and then was bought out or waived, right? So like Emiliano Rigoni could not be put on a discovery list because we bought him out and put him on waivers. players for whom another club has the right of first refusal, players who are going to be eligible for an upcoming MLS Super Draft, homegrown eligible players from other clubs. You can't put them on discovery lists, and any MLS free agents can also not go on the discovery list. So we do have here just one more piece that I wanted to read. If one or more clubs, right, if you have a conflict with your discovery lists, if one or more clubs attempt to add the same player to the respective discovery list, the club that filed the claim on the earlier date will have the priority right to sign the player. And if they submit the request on the same day, it's the club with the lowest points per game in the current MLS table that will have the priority right to sign the player. And if a club wants to sign a player on the list of another club, $50K in GAM is the fee there that you would have to pay as mandated by the league. And so I guess I said last thing. The real last thing here, you can have up to 5 players on your discovery list, with the exception of San Diego in their expansion year. They can have 7. But so that's the discovery list. It probably will never come into play for Austin. And again, I think this rule will be phased out over the next couple years. I would think it's not something, again, that comes into play a whole lot, with the exception of Kevin De Bruyne. And even then, dude, it's like, what, you're going to make the club pay $50K in GAM to sign the guy anyways? Like, it's just, it's kind of silly at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, let's keep it moving here. Appreciate Mackie for that question. We'll see where we end up next here, E. This question coming to us from Scott. So shout out to Scott. And he says, or he asks, what 3 current Austin FC players would you want to bar hop with on Rainey Street? I'll let you go first.
Oh, man. Oh, you go first. I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm thinking.
My first order of business is I'm going to say, fellas, we're not going to Rainey Street. It fucking sucks.
Okay.
We're going to go somewhere else, maybe East 6. I don't know. Those guys probably, especially if we get to some of the younger players, like I'm sure they want to go to like West or something like that. We're not going to the Domain, fellas.
No.
But if I had to choose 3 guys to go out and have a night on the town, right? Or maybe let's just say we'll bring the boys to Copperhead. We'll throw some darts. We'll have some buckets of Millers, all that good stuff. My number 1 pick is Danny. I think that's very easy. Okay. I feel like he would be a great hang.
All right, let me draft now. No, you let me draft now.
Oh, it's a draft? Fuck.
Okay. You said number 1 pick was Danny.
Yeah, no, I know, but like I thought I was gonna get my 3 off, and I think I have a good trio here. So now you're gonna steal guys from me. I know who you're taking here.
I have his discovery rights. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm taking Biru.
Yeah.
Biru number 1. Getting him on the darts team. Play a little cricket with him. A little lefty action.
Okay.
I think he can party. You know what I mean?
You would think.
If you're going out with me, you got to be a drinker. All right, you got to be able to party because
I'm
we're
not
going.
gonna force these guys to go fucking Miller for Miller with you.
Well, no, yeah, we're not expecting god tier drinking levels, but like you gotta be able to cut up, have a good time. So like Biru, sure. Danny was on my short list, but all right,
it's first round.
Back to you, number 2.
Okay, yeah, give me Diego Rubio. It's the same energy as those 2 guys, but on the other end of the age spectrum. Diego, like, he's kind of like probably closer to my age, your age, right?
Yeah,
like we got Diego in there. So I like my start here with Danny Diego pairing.
That's really good. Yeah. Also, if a fracas breaks out, you got
we got all 3 guys that we want to have there.
Yeah, that's a good situation to have there. That was a good pick. I was not even thinking about Diego.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go Johnny here.
Fair.
Again, I'm assuming he can drink because he's Irish. So
he also probably doesn't at all because of how fit he is.
Probably, yes.
But it's in his blood.
Yeah, it's true. And if we're going out, like this is in a situation where they're not playing, we're not in training or anything.
Yeah, it's off. We just we just won the Open Cup. Season's over.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
We're gonna have a good time.
So I'll go Johnny with my second pick there.
Okay. Well, I think you swayed me with something you said a minute ago, right? If a fracas breaks out.
Oh, you're just going straight fight, guys?
Well, now, look, no fucking fighting. But if we do,
okay,
and I think he's probably a good hang too. Give me Alexander Svatok.
Oh Jesus, yeah, yeah, I guess so. Man, see, Owen's probably too young. I don't want
He
to
is.
talk
He
about.
can't drink. I'm not taking
Yeah, I
him to the
don't
bar.
talk about Roblox and shit.
He loves Legos, bro.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, we're talking about that. Fuck, man. Damn. I might go Robbie Taylor here. I think he might be
Okay.
another. He's like English and Finnish, right?
Yes, I believe you're correct.
Something like that. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
a little accent that we could talk to the girls with that. That sounds nice. So like, I like my team. I like my spot here.
Well,
Yeah.
like, disclaimer, fellas, you're all welcome.
Yeah,
You're all welcome at
sure.
the North End party. I do think if we wanted to go full goon squad, though, your last pick is Sapovich.
I thought about it.
We're getting all the big mean Europeans.
We're not going out to fight, man. You picked the brawl squad. Fighting. I'm about to go out to have a good time. Trying to.
Oh man, that's a good question. Appreciate that, Scott.
Yeah, that was fun.
All right, we keep it moving. I think Scott has another question in here, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
One of the few people that got two past our team of screeners here. We had Tex Constant Craig, the first guy to have two questions here pop up. He says, and this is, I guess, kind of multifaceted here. That's craziest Q2 game day story, and then most exciting / highest feeling, and worst / lowest moment. So let's go craziest Q2 game day story. You want to start? You want me to? I know what mine is.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Okay.
Mine's showing up late to the Dallas matchup on shrooms.
Man, that was mine.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the one. I don't know what we were down at that point, but I roll in, not a care in the world.
Yeah.
Just having a great time. I think we gave up 5 goals that game, got our ass handed to us, but I had a blast, and I was just really chilling, enjoying some good soccer, and just having a really fun time.
Good soccer.
So it was a good time for me. That's definitely my craziest.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the same thing, so I can tell you it was 1-1 when you showed up, and ended up 5-3. So I think there were certainly goals. And like most exciting, highest, lowest moments, there are a lot.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Highest, I'll rattle off a few. Both playoff wins at home for sure. First ever home win, Musa hat trick. San Jose comeback last year, Seba's 101st minute goal. That was incredible. None of them from this year, somewhat notably.
Yeah. I'd also throw in the back-to-back 5-goal games to open the 2022 season.
Yeah.
That after that second one, we're just like first on the table.
Yep.
10 fucking goals to our name. We're just like, oh, we're going to be absolutely massive here.
Yeah.
So I was definitely as high as I think I've ever been on this team at that point in time. Yeah. Worst, lowest memories. God, there's just so many.
I'll also throw in LAFC home. I mean, that I feel like that goes, we don't have to mention that though. That's almost everybody's high point.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I mean, I walked out of there after the El Paso game just fucking miserable. I walked out after the RSL game recently, just absolutely miserable. And like some of these definitely have recency bias just because I've been so upset at some of these games, particularly this season. But yeah, there's just been so many at this point. Seeing Dessler outside was a pretty I don't know if it's crazy, but like it was a fun little game day story. And you were like, "Come on, we need you."
Yeah. We need some help, brother.
Brother.
And we did. I was right.
Yeah, you were right. We definitely needed the man back.
I mean, El Paso, yeah. The Minnesota loss was when we saw Dessler. I would say the Houston loss in September of last year, because not only did that pretty much it didn't mathematically seal our fate, but it was like, this isn't happening. It was the first time Houston ever got any result of any kind.
Yep.
Coco bike right in front of us.
Yep.
I mean, that was a gut punch.
Mm-hmm.
Violette second leg at home, not coming back.
Oh,
in that one was brutal. I think those are the ones that come to my mind here. So anything
Okay.
else for you on this one for Craig?
No, I'm tapped out there.
All right. Well, we will keep it moving here on the wheel, E. And the next question, I think we're going to the roster sheets once again here. This one comes in from Bricky Verde.
Oh.
So shout out to the other BV there. Can we review all the transfer rumors and see how they can or can't fit with respect to international slots in the current roster? So we'll flip back right here, right? The 4 rumors. So Nicky Belloco, I always start with that one because I feel like that's a signing already.
Yep.
Again, I think the thing I want to see with Nicky Belloco is he supplemental or is he senior?
Yes.
Because if he's supplemental, then I think we got 2 more guys coming.
Yep.
So we'll see about that. Felipe Andrade, right? Tutti, the Venezuelan kid who would be, right? We've got U22 slots. We've got 2 international slots. But the other 2 rumors are Mikhail Nade, the center back, international, right? You'd think all 4 of these rumors would be international slot guys. And then Manuel Lanzini, who we touched on earlier. I think the max you're getting out of that list of 4 is 3 of them. Okay. Not just because that's the easy answer given the spots that we have, but I would be shocked if we had, not shocked, but it would be a pleasant surprise if more than one of our current 7 international slot guys got a green card. And again, those 7 international slots that are being taken right now are Obrian, Biru, Bukhari, Svatak, Dubersarski, Sabovic, and Azuni. So if one of those guys gets a green card, I think you get Belloco, you get Nade, and then Belloco goes on supplemental, and you get one of Andrade or Lanzini. And I would rather have Andrade.
Yes, I definitely want Andrade over Lanzini, just given his age and how he fits moving forward with this team. I don't think Lanzini,
I think.
Lanzini.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but that's how I read it.
Just given his injury history, his age, I don't think he's a guy you bring in and then it just initially vaults this team into championship contention. If I was looking at an older kind of player where it was like, I'm going to do this for 1 year and push my chips all in, then I would have more of a conversation about considering him over Andrade. But given the profile, given the age, or the fact that we could slot Andrade in at a U22, that's definitely it for me. Yeah, so to answer, hopefully what you're looking at is someone on the international list currently is going to go ahead and get their green card, which opens up a slot. You bring Belloco in on a supplemental, then you can go and get Nade and Andrade for the U22 as well. Really depends on if we're going to be able to move off more than one guy off that international slot, like you mentioned there. And I don't know if I'd be shocked, but I would be quite surprised to see that.
Yeah. Well, again, man, like Nade, you would think would be a TAM player because he's still under contract, so we're likely going to have to pay a fee to bring him in. And then Andrade, it doesn't matter what we pay for him because he's U22, and you get that cap relief there. So that's a good question. Again, getting us kind of back to our roots there is Bricky Verde, bringing us to the sheets. So making sure not all of this is nonsense, right? So the next question here, E. Comes to us from Dave, and Dave says that he went to the San Diego game, and I flew there on Southwest Airlines. Roto sat directly in front of me. Do you think this is a little odd, and or is Austin FC really that budget conscious? I think I have an answer for this. What I think happened there, I think is pretty standard. I don't think we are flying Rodolfo Borrell private anywhere. I imagine, I've seen some fans talk about, not seeing Roto around anywhere, right? Even at the games, right? When usually he's sitting there on the west side of the stadium, right? From his perch up there overseeing things. And I think the answer is he's out doing his job. Whether that's going overseas, we know he's said before that his day starts at like 3 or 4 a.m. because he's talking to people all around the world. So I am thinking the reason we don't see him a ton in the spring is because he's getting ready to bring players in here in about a month and 3 days when the window opens up. And I think most of, they charter a plane, right, for the team to go everywhere. But if Roto is coming from somewhere, a meeting, a phone call,
Yeah.
what have you, and he's just trying to get out to the game, then I think him hopping on a Southwest flight, like Roto doesn't strike me as a guy who is super bougie.
Yeah.
Like I think him hopping on a Southwest flight, I don't think that bothers him in the slightest. That's just the vibe I get from him.
Yeah. And also us being Austin FC sickos like Dave here are probably the only people who are going to recognize him, particularly in America. So like it's not like we need to hide this dude from the crazy people that are out there. So it doesn't seem too odd to me. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to get a nice little private flight for our boy. Let him get a little nap. You know what I mean?
Look,
Have some peanuts.
As long as that is not coming out of the transfer budget, then fine.
I don't think it is.
But also at the same time, why am I paying $12 for beer if Roto can find? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to private. Let them fly Southwest. Come on, keep those beer prices where they are.
We're doing our job. We're doing our job.
Yeah, right. We'll move on here to our next question. And this is coming. There is one that says 4E there. This comes from Tex Rex, and he says, have we found the starting 11, or are we still looking to shuffle? Maybe Taylor to replace Gallagher at left wing. Also, is Azuni a bench piece now? So this is very similar to the one we touched on earlier. Do you have anything else different to add there?
No, I don't think this is our starting 11. I think it's the best 11 that we had available to us given the current form of some of our players, particularly Mirtu Azuni. And Johnny filled in fantastically on that left wing there. I think that he adds a dimension that the coaching staff really likes in regard to his ability to play both sides of the ball, which is something that we've been asking our left wing position to do routinely throughout this season. But again, our ceiling lineup, our best team that we're going to be able to put out there from a talent perspective and then from a depth standpoint includes Mirtu Azuni, in my opinion. And Taylor, once again, move him around the midfield if we must, move him around the wings if we must do that. It's a good depth piece to have off the bench. But once Azuni gets rolling, which I do still believe will happen, I think there's a lot of things that got to get figured out. Some of it personal on his end and getting his mind right, his confidence back. And some of it's on the coaching staff in regard to finding a way for Mirtu and BV to exist more cohesively up there up front. So I do not think this is going to be our starting 11 going forward with Johnny there. And it's Mirtu for me.
Yeah, and I think if Azuni ever becomes a consistent bench piece, then I am on the sell Mirtu train because we can't have a DP on the bench.
No.
Consistently.
Your Sebas Ferreira comparison was really good the last time you brought that up, and that was because the overlap.
It's good, but it's scary.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So yes, if he's on the bench, then get him out. We're not paying you for that.
Yeah,
man.
And it's not against Mirtu. It's the roster construction of it, right?
I mean, at that point, it could be against them. If he's a bench player.
Uh-oh, E. Now, look, this is a true fan question because it's not even a question. This is a demand, and we will oblige. Hudson gets his second question in, and his request, I guess. Try to pronounce all 18 extra classe clubs. This is going to be a doozy because I can't even pronounce the league. So
God.
This is the Polish first division, if I'm not mistaken. So I have this pulled up. Do you have your
I have it pulled
extra classe table? Okay,
I do.
Let's get a couple zooms. Do you want to go? There's 18 teams.
I'm going second. I'm definitely going second.
Okay, but do you want to alternate down the table, or do you want to go 9 and 9?
No, we'll just go. We'll go back and forth here.
Okay, all right.
Rapid
I'll
fire.
go first.
Rapid fire. Don't think about it too much.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
To our Polish listeners, sorry.
Yeah, we apologize. Arka, Gdynia,
Cracovia.
Is that Krakosia? Is that from that Tom Hanks movie?
Krakosia?
Is that where that's from? Is that Polish?
I don't know.
All I remember from The Terminal, I think that's what it's called. It's Tom Hanks one, Krakosia.
Oh, I've never seen it.
I don't know if that's the same thing here, but GKS Katowice.
Gornik Sabreze.
Jagiellonia, Bialystok.
Corona Kilchi.
You know Corona.
Yeah, I got that.
Lick Poznan. Kali Gross.
Hey, shout out Leak. Legia Warsaw.
Motor Lublin. That's definitely how that's said.
Piest Gwilch.
Gwilch.
God, good Lord.
Pogon. Skesin.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna need Hudson to send us like audio of him saying them all, and then we can splice it in with what we are guessing.
Radomiak Radom.
That's like a double. That's an easy one.
That is a double.
Rakau. Shestokshwa.
It can't be Termalika.
You wouldn't think so, right?
No, it's not Termalika. Termelka.
I think Termalika's closer. What if it is Termalika?
Nichezja.
Vidzu Lutz.
Can you imagine if someone starts the pod just in the middle and this is what they're fucking hearing?
I hope so. Look, if you're gonna tell your friends about the North End podcast, show them this 4-minute clip.
Yeah, there we go. That'll bring the people in. Wisla Plok.
Zaglibi Lubin.
Lechia Dansk.
I feel like you got Donks there.
I feel like
that's good.
That's a silent G. Yeah, it's got to be.
It's not good to donks people. Don't do that online.
Why are they at -5 points? Everyone else is at 0.
They've been deducted, which reminds me we need to look into why those next pro clubs were deducted points.
We do. All right, well, there you go, Hudson. I hope you got a good laugh out of that, buddy.
Yeah. we'll keep it pushing here. Oh, God, that was painful for the majority of people, I'm sure.
That was rough for a lot of folks.
All right, next question. Oh, this comes from Jana.
Oh, nice.
Who is the most underrated player on the team right now? Who is the most overrated player on the team right now? You want to go first on this one?
Sure.
Right. Pick either one.
I'll start overrated.
Okay.
I'm going to go Ilya.
It's a good one, I think, right now. With the current vibes, right? That's what we're going from.
Where he's at right now in his career, he comes in with the pedigree, comes in with the title with LAFC. He's had a great career and everything like that. So, I think he has gotten his flowers, but he's clearly just not the player that we saw when he was with LAFC. And I think he's just really limited in the things that he's able to do.
Yeah. God damn it, that's a good one. I don't want to make enemies here, dude.
I know. I mean, Ilya's great. You know what I mean? Like he's clearly. I think it's just at this point he's much more of a locker room leadership. Keep the boat steady kind of vibe, guys. A secondary arm of the coaching staff as well. I think that's what he's really bringing to the club right
now. Okay. So I'm not going to double up and be boring.
Okay.
I'll say Brandon Vasquez as overrated because of how many chances he's missed.
Yeah.
And again, he's leading us in scoring. Brandon's great, but I think maybe a little overrated right now if we got to answer this.
Okay.
All right. I'm going first here.
All right.
Most underrated. And are you looking at this from like a fan base standpoint or like a national standpoint? Because I think the answer could be maybe different for me.
I'm going fan base for this one.
Okay. The Owen Wolf haters have been quiet. So I don't know if he can fit that mold anymore. Because I think most people, if not all at this point, recognize how good that kid is.
Okay. How good he is, or just that he's good? You know what I mean? Like that's where it comes at for me, because that's the definition for me for underrated.
That's fair. If you asked me this 2 weeks ago, my answer would have been very easy. It would have been Dessler.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now everybody he's back, so
Yeah.
everybody remembers how fucking good that guy is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. I'm dragging this out too long. I'm gonna say this is from my own standpoint. From a couple weeks ago, I think I underrated Danny over the first few months of the season.
Okay. I'm right there with that too. That was on my short list. It's Owen for me. I just don't think it's appreciated enough what he does and what he brings to this team. And like, if you look at the chance creations this year and where we're getting a ton of these opportunities to score goals from, he is either a hockey assist away or the main distributor in a lot of these situations. And like, the kid's phenomenal. Like, he's absolutely fantastic. So that's my pick.
All right, well, let's keep it pushing here. Looks like 6 more questions to go.
All right.
So the next question here comes from P. Mike. Gets his second in here. He says, if the fans of the North End wanted to gift the podcast something, podcast equipment, flag, banner, etc., that's where it ends. So I guess, like, what would it be? I mean, I don't know, man. First of all, P. Mike himself, I think, was the first listener to ever buy us a beer at the stadium.
Correct. Absolutely.
And we've grown the roster of people who have been generous enough to bring us beers at the stadium, which is always appreciated. So I think that's just what I would say. But like, we've gotten other cool shit in the past, right? Like, our buddy Mason made us like these sweet, like, little business card things that are like metal and like super sturdy. They're cool. I do like, we still need to connect with our buddy Jonathan, who made us some like cool North End logo, ZG and E things. But I think the easiest that, like, we don't have a Patreon. We don't, ask you to pay for anything like that. So like, if you want to bring us a beer at the stadium, come find us. Like, I think for me, E, I won't answer for you. It's not even so much about getting a free beer. Like, we love that. But it's more about like meeting people through that. Who come to seek us out, and like, that's, growing our community here in the North End is one of the more special things from my point of view.
Yeah, that's my answer as well. Podcast equipment. I bought a super fancy, nice, sweet ass microphone like 2.5 years ago. Haven't used it once, so don't need any more podcast equipment. As you can see, the wall behind me, quite barren. Okay with that.
Would you accept a big cat poster?
I would accept big cat art. I am a connoisseur of any sort of big cat art. So if you find some big cat art, you want to get it off your hands, I will definitely accept that. But yeah, for me, it's the beer as well. And like, to elaborate on that point, P. Mike is one of our best friends in Austin now.
Yeah.
I mean, I just saw him yesterday. He came over and hung out. We talked the shit and everything like that. So like, to your point of like meeting people and like making the relationships and building that community is the most important thing for me. And then, having a little beer and cheering with you at the same time, I'm all for that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next,
I see Spurs in here. I see specific.
If the Spurs is one of these.
Oh boy, for
Here
E.
we go. Here's an E question, and it says, all right, this is from Mackie too. It says, E, talk to us about how you got into charity bike riding. What have you done? And have you tried the MS 150? Which is a bike race from Houston to Austin. And he says, if not, we need a Verde team next year. So I guess starting with the first part, how did you get into charity bike riding, and what have you done?
Okay. I got into it by riding my bike across the country. I rode from Virginia all the way to Oregon. It took me 3.5 months. It was 4,400 miles. Me and my uncle did it. I didn't tell my job. I was working remotely, and I just left. And there is even more lore to this story as to what kind of prompted a lot of this, but I can't take up 25 minutes here or anything like that. But yeah, just took off from Virginia with my uncle. We drove down there in a rented truck, took off on the bikes and everything. And it was something I had wanted to do for a while. And I ended up raising, it was $18,000 for Integral Care right here in Austin, which provides services for suicide prevention, mental health help and stuff like that. I lost my dad to suicide, so that was my impetus for doing this ride, was to try to do something in his name and in his honor. It was just his birthday 2 days ago, so shout out Walt for that. And yeah, it was incredible, man. We did 3.5 months, like I said, on the bikes every day. We stayed everywhere in the country, went through all kinds of unique spots and saw some really beautiful sights and everything like that. Saw some horrible sights as well, but it was all part of the trip and the experience. I have never heard of the MS 150, but if there is a team and it's for a good cause, you can sign me up, man. I'm a beast on the pedals, bro. I can go all day.
Yeah.
As long as I got my Black and Milds, couple Gatorades, I chug it out.
Yeah, say the nutrition of an all-star cyclist.
There you go. Oh, that's a good question.
I'm going to add a part of the question here.
Okay.
You mentioned, that you were working remotely while you were traversing our lands. Did you get fired?
No, I got promoted, actually.
Yeah, okay. I got to make sure that got in there.
I got a meeting message from my manager, and she was like, "We need to talk." And I was like, "Oh shit, I think I got busted."
Yeah,
because like I'm showing up all over the map and everything like that. So I took this. I was in Bump Ass, Virginia, which is an actual town. We were sleeping at a convenience store just in the back, in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And I was like, "Damn, I got to take this meeting." So I took this meeting in the back of like a cooler that like they had the extra beverages and stuff. And they're like, "Yeah, we're going to give you like an $8,000 raise." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to keep working hard for y'all then. Don't worry about it."
Oh, man. Appreciate Mackie for that question. So here we go. Next question, E. And this one is coming to us from Ethan. And Ethan asks, if you could replace any single player on our roster with a past Austin FC player, who would you choose? And he adds, has to be a matching roster designation. So do you, I guess I read like roster designation. I first think DP, TAM, U22, supplemental. Maybe he means positionally though. How do you read that? How I read it first, like roster designation.
Designation seems pretty specific.
Okay. Well, you want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, if you want me to get up on my soapbox here, I'm about to for sure. It's Seba for Azuni right now, in my opinion. This team, I think, if everyone's talking about chance creation 10s and 10s that can get people the ball and attacking midfielders, well, we had the guy. Right. And I know that his exit was unceremonious and like it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But like go back and look at the teams that we put around that dude and what we asked him to do. I mean, there was plenty of games where like I'd imagine a conversation with him before the game with Coach Wolf was, "Hey, we're only going to get 2 shots off tonight. I hope you can score one of them." You know, like basically. So like when I look at what Seba, his ability, his talent, you saw the goal in the Club World Cup, like what this guy can do. Also the shot he had off the crossbar earlier in that matchup. It just the brilliance. We still have yet to see a player, in my opinion, who has that level of skill and just soccer creativity and brilliance. And if you put him on this roster with Buka on his right and BV up front, and then you had whoever, if you wanted to throw Johnny there or Robbie Taylor on the left wing, would have Hot Air even. I mean, he helped Hot Air scored fucking 10 goals pretty near. So like it was Seba every day of the week for me. And just because of where he's at right now, the 1-for-1 for Azuni. And they also match up price-wise. So like I think it's a pretty good answer there.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. But like listening, so like if we brought in positional designation too, right, with Azuni mostly playing towards the left over his last few appearances, then like look, don't come for me. I'm just talking about soccer talent on the pitch.
Yeah.
Cecilio for Azuni. I think would be interesting with the way the roster is. Because like that guy was a left wing. You know, like through and through.
I'd say my other, if we're going right down to position,
I've got
Gabrielson for BHI.
Or really? I mean for Julio.
Well, yeah, okay, I was saying because he's a starter, but yes, Julio, absolutely. I mean, at that point, you'd be fucking loaded at center back.
And we need a fourth, so give me Radovanovic for nobody.
Oh, there we go. Can you imagine him and Beru together like that going?
Oh God, yeah. And Svatok and Radovanovic as a pairing.
Yeah.
All right, 3 questions to go. The
go.
next one here, comes to us from Jim, and Jim said, a simple one. What's your favorite food or drink to get at Q2? I'll just get out in front of you and say it's not the pretzels.
It was.
We got to get our pretzel mention quota in for the season.
That's
so
right.
There's one.
There we go. It's beers from the Bottom Brother. It's not just
from
regular
the
beers.
Bottom Brother.
It's from the Bottom Brother. Yeah. Some cheap beer, as cheap as it can get there. You know what I mean? Because nothing is actually cheap beer-wise there. But it's you walk in, 2 cold ultras, and just go sit down.
There you go.
Goes off. There you go.
Well, if we're going with the cheap beers, right, the ones that are like $12 or whatever, then like you're a Michelob guy. Yep. I'm going with the Dos Equis.
Yep.
But like if I do get food, which like probably twice a year, I'll grab something at half. Usually I'm just getting the pepperoni rolls from Double Dave's. Yeah. You know, like I grew up right near Double Dave's on UT campus, you know, so like I grew up going to Double Dave's. Like being able to get those pepperoni rolls, which like getting 3 of those for the price, like relative to the rest of the stadium, is one of the better values that I've seen. You know, if you're looking for that. And I think somebody, I don't remember who it was, commented on the last episode, I think, that was like, Double Dave's, man, is the good foundation for a night of drinking. So I don't disagree.
Yeah, Jim, we're not the guys to come to for good food and good drink selections. We keep it pretty simple, and then we order once we're out of the stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, here we go. I knew this was going to make the cut here.
All right. Coming from our buddy Kevin Trahan, he says, if the San Antonio Spurs and Austin FC played each other in soccer and basketball, which team would do better in the other sport? And I'll handle this, E.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it is a very easy answer. The Spurs. Because the Spurs have actual soccer guys on their roster, like multiple dudes juggling with each other pregame every night. Victor Wembanyama played soccer. He's a goalkeeper. Imagine this guy. Sandro Mamukelashvili, which is one of the best names in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Like, are those... I'm getting off track here. You ask one NBA question, I start just popping off here, E. If you combine Wembanyama and Mamukelashvili, are those the 2 teammates with the like longest combined last name in the league? It has to be, unless you get Nickeil Alexander-Walker with his cousin in OKC and you get those hyphens in there. There's no hyphens with those 2 Spurs guys. Yeah,
but I'm preferential to the hyphenated last names personally. It's Spurs. It's definitely the Spurs.
Dude, even if you didn't know about the soccer acumen of some of the Spurs international guys, we've seen the Austin FC players try to take jump shots.
Yeah. And like also, if the Spurs were actually playing defense in a game of basketball, I don't think that Austin FC players would score a single point. True. And I'm not exaggerating. I don't think that they would score a point. Yeah. Whereas like for 90 minutes, you could kind of run this thing out.
San Antonio's going to get a shot, probably.
I mean, yeah, and if you had Wemby in the net, you could at least deter some of the shots coming your way, I would imagine. But like if you're trying to go in and get a layup on Wemby and you're 5'9" John Gallagher,
if you're 6'3", anybody.
There's literally every single player on the Spurs is larger than.
It's hard for Giannis to score on Wemby.
Yeah, so it's definitely the Spurs.
Well, like I was gonna say, like, do you put Wemby in net or do you put him up front to just cross the ball? But like, you could put any Spurs player at striker and he would go get his head on the ball. So. Yeah, Spurs. Last question here, E. We'll spin it anyway, so it shows up on the screen for us. And the final question of our listener questions episode here comes to us from Scott. So Scott gets his second one in. What is the last concert / live music that you have both attended? And is that both? Do you think that's both? I guess we could do both.
Okay.
Us together and then individually. Because I know you went to a show this week.
Oh, shit. I forgot about that. I was going to say, last one I went to was Shmino, but that's not right. I saw The Drop Teens, free show at Antone's, a little country
Nice.
band from West Texas, and then before that was Shmino at good old Stubbs.
Nice. Your
I'm
favorite
going to a
venue?
show, if I'm going to show, it's niche country music or indie music or gangster rap. That's
Yeah.
those are my two that I go. I don't go in between. I don't go to Moody Center, the big events and everything like that. Like
Yeah.
those are my two. The ones with that both of us though.
The last one we went to together was Big X for sure.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's right. So
Big X
there you
the
go.
plug.
Yeah, that was great.
Last one I went to outside of that, I'm pretty sure was the Willie Nelson 50th anniversary ACL show at Auditorium
Okay.
Shores. I believe. It's not been, especially when Austin FC is playing, I don't get out a ton to those type of events during the NBA season, just with work and everything. So, and there you go. That wraps up the listener questions. E, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I do want to say that we will be going to our singular Murder by Death fan out there who popped up into the comments the other day. We're both rocking Murder by Death shirts today, by the way. We will be going to see them together in November. I try to get this guy to go to concerts with me all the time, and he's just nah. I got to get up at 7:30.
It's true.
It is true. That's how you sound, though.
Shout out once again to everybody who sent in questions. That was great.
Yeah, that was good.
Come on down to Farmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's last business day.
Last business day here on episode 234 of the North End Podcast. A late one on Friday night, last night, out there at Providence Park, and really weird way to notate the score here on Fat Mob, including the penalties here. E. So in regulation, this one was 1-1, but a couple things on the lineup, because I was able to watch the second half of this one. CJ was in the lineup. I really like seeing him going out there to get minutes over the break for the first team. Yes. Just, again, doing anything he needs to do to continue to improve and get minutes and help the club. He also had a wrap on his right hand, so hopefully, that's not anything. Obviously, it didn't keep him out of action last night, but I did notice that in the 20 or so minutes that I got to see him play in the second half.
Am I tripping, or is that the second time he's had something on his arm?
You might be right. I may be slowing the uptake there.
No, I'm saying, didn't he have, wasn't a couple of years ago he had a cast on his arm or some shit like that? He had some arm injury. Wasn't he running around with
I feel like he had his wrist wrapped at
something,
I don't remember which one, but I think he had a wrist wrap in the past. Either way, Micah and Irvin both get the start here, which you like to see, right? We want to see those first team and presumptive first team guys down the road getting the call. I do think it's interesting that I don't think we've seen Peter Grogan get back in the 11 since his red card, and Jorge Alistue continues to be the starting striker there over the last couple weeks. Still no Ruben Bonachera in the team, so Anthony DeAnda got the call at left back. And I may have mentioned this last episode because I think he was there last game, but Jules Berry on the bench. So he does exist. He is here.
There we go. All right, good deal.
So I did go back and watch the highlights of the first half that I missed, and specifically the goal that Portland scored. Austin appeared to be on the front foot. They certainly were in the box score from the first half, and then I think they were mostly in the second half, but they were trailing coming out of the break because Portland was in possession here in the 21st minute. They got some space on the right side of the 18. DeAnda tries to close down, but they fire in the cross, and Guerra nodded it into the ground, past Charlie into the net for the opening goal. We get a double change for Austin in the second half. 65th minute, Diego Abarca comes in for CJ, and Daniel Chesla comes in for Riley Thomas. So you see both of the first team guys, with Jimmy still out nursing the hamstring issue, both of the first team guys there taking their or ending their night 65 minutes in. And it only took 12 minutes for these guys, the new guys, to come on and make an impression. 77th minute here, Anthony DeAnda working it on the left, whips a ball into the area that bounces past both Irvin Torres and a Timbers 2 defender who were crashing the 6. And then when it bounces up very clearly into the arm of another Portland defender, and no call. The bench is going crazy. I was going crazy on the couch. Just like, man, like you only get one camera angle for these Next Pro matches. And if I'm seeing that, like one of these 3 officials, man. So it goes out for a throw. Bench is bitching to the official. Chesla tosses it to Antonio Gomez, Antonio. And he plays it to Abarca, who's hugging that right sideline. Diego slips Irvin Torres through, and Irvin sizzles a ball across the face of net where Micah connects and levels the game at 1. And I believe now 2 games in a row that Micah has either the match winner or the equalizing goal. And you really love to see that from the kid who was not in the 11 for an extended period of time this season.
Yeah, I was going to say there, like, it's not just the fact that you're seeing Micah getting some goals here. It's the fact that he responded from a situation where we were like, man, Micah's really fallen out of, rotational love here, picked up a couple injuries, I do believe. But like to be able to go ahead and get this goal off of an Irvin assist is exactly what you want to see out of those 2 guys.
84th, you get Peter Grogan coming on for Micah right before a Portland corner. And then on that corner, Guerra, the goal scorer, shoves Grogan. Welcome to the game, Pete. And Guerra already had a yellow. So that's his second. He gets caught doing that. So Austin's up a man for the final 6 of regulation. And then we get 6 minutes of stoppage. And they have multiple chances, but can't find a winner. So we do go to pens. And that's where you get this wild score line here on FOTMob's page. Alistue skied the first attempt of the shootout. So you're behind the 8 ball early. And all makes until Charlie Farah makes a save on Portland's 3rd attempt. I believe he had at least one other Portland attempt where he guessed right, but it was just nice placement by the Portland player. Mm-hmm. After Charlie makes that save, right, we're leveled up. All makes until we get to the 6th round, where Santos for Portland sends his attempt up and over the bar. So Austin takes home the additional point. You love to see that on the road. So Austin now 13 matches played, 18 points here, is tied for 7th on points behind both the Town and Whitecaps 2 on goal differential. And I imagine also total wins. But it's not just the points that this team has picked up, 5 over their last 2 matches, right? Throwing you right back into the playoff mixture here. What I like to see examining this table is that if you look at all the other teams that have played at least 13 matches, and that is most of the teams above Austin. Yep. We have 4 losses on the season. Nobody else has less than 4 losses. So like we are not converting our games where we're picking up points into wins, right? Just 3 wins and 6 draws. But you're not losing matches, right? And you've only conceded 15 goals so far this season, which is tied for the least amount of goals conceded, or second least rather. The Town has only conceded 10, but they have 3 games in hand on us. So the defense is doing its job, and hopefully we can continue to see this team eke out these results. Wins at home, draws with the extra point on the road. That will certainly thrust you not just into the playoffs, but probably up into the top 5 or 6 of this table.
Absolutely. And this is a really nice thing to see here because for the longest time this season, we've just been seeing them sitting in like 12th or 13th the entire time. And I know that it's only 3 points separating them from LAFC 2 there, but this is a great thing to see. And man, Charlie has come in and really took that job, huh? That's his.
Dude, so another thing that I saw on Instagram with the U.S. national team here this week, right? They played the Saudis at the Q on Thursday, which we could get into the whole ticket pricing bullshit with that, but another day. He jumped in with the U.S. in training. There's pictures of him in U.S. gear, which I think he's from England, which is interesting, right? But like the fact that he was able to get in the training sessions there again, it would be pure speculation to say, oh, it's because he's good and he's a prospect. Like, I don't think that's the case here. Certainly not for the U.S., but he's been really good with the second team. And we know he trained with the first team all the way until he got the deal done with the second team, right? In preseason and then through the first couple weeks of the season. Like, I wonder if there's any chance that next year, going back to Hudson's question from earlier about the goalkeeper depth chart, that you could see next year Stuver, Lass, Farah. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's come in and, like I said, took that job, and like it doesn't look like he's relinquishing it.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and close out today's episode, E. And this is gonna be the first time we've checked in on it.
Wow, the best keeper in the world.
First time we've checked in on Damian Loss in a few weeks here. So our resident Louisville City fan, Trevor Allison, shout out to Trevor. Just a marathon of an update here. And Trev, I had to parse it down, my friend, because like the it's always a lengthy review, right? That we love reading here from Trevor, but with like 4 games to get through here, let's talk. We're going all the way back to May 31st. This was a Jaeger Cup match, which I think is kind of like external competition between USL Championship and USL 2, if I'm not mistaken. So Loudoun United was the opponent here. It was a 2-1 loss for Louisville. Very windy day in Northern Virginia. Only the second loss of the season for Louisville in all competitions. The other one was Minnesota United in the Open Cup. And the first loss to Loudoun for Louisville since 2019. And Trevor adds in Loudoun having by far their best season ever. First goal against Damian comes from an awkward high deflection in the midfield. Louisville City center back missed the headed clearance, and the goal scorer was in on Damian and able to easily push it past him. Second goal in the 59th minute, Loudoun held possession for a while and worked the ball into a runner in the middle of the box who finished well after a nice pass. Damian made an effort but had no chance. Trevor puts that one on the center backs for allowing a run like that. Louisville had a shot go off the post a couple minutes later that would have equalized, but it was not to be. A really good game from the Loudoun keeper. And in our edition of Remember Some Guys for this episode, Pedro Santos from the 2020 MLS Cup winning Crew team, and Florian Villot, who was a big player for Red Bulls and Wooden Spoon Cincy, looking really good in the USL Championship. Then we actually have our first Trevor report from a media availability, because on June 3rd, Damian was one of 2 players for questions. So Damian said in that media session that he felt that the team's defense was good because they're working better together than last year and understand each other better. He was also asked what he has improved since last year, and he said his calmness and maturity, especially making the right decisions at the right times. He also feels more comfortable in Louisville and more trusted by his teammates. And Trevor says this amateur scout felt pretty smug watching this because those are some of the same things I've been saying about Damian over his time at Louisville City. And I agree. We've been reading them here from Trevor. So then June 7th, Louisville City, 2-1 victory over Tampa Bay. We're back into USL League play here. Announcers were very complimentary of Damian for the entire match. Louisville jumped out with 2 early goals and cruised the rest of the way. The goal for Tampa Bay was scored in the 30th on a fast move going forward. Multiple defenders were beaten off the dribble, and then a great shot was hit into the top corner. No chance for Damian on that one. So back in action 4 days later against Rhode Island FC. This was a 2-1 Louisville City victory. Bit of revenge for the 3-0 defeat in the playoffs last year at the hands of Rhode Island. And it was Louisville's first ever win against Rhode Island FC. Rhode Island's one goal came on an own goal, so they didn't do much else. Only 4 total shots with 2 on target. The saves for Damian were straightforward. Pretty light night overall for Las. And he started the 5-pass sequence on the game-winning goal with a roll out to the center back. So you get credit for that, Damian, especially here in the North End. And then June 14th, you get another Louisville City victory, 4-2 over Birmingham Legion, a goal explosion for the 3rd straight home win. Start was a bit rough. The Legion scored first in the 15th, a shot from 30 yards that deflected off another Birmingham player at the top of the 18 and floated past Damian. He was caught going the other way. After the deflection, no chance to recover. From the 29th minute on, it was all Louisville, scoring 3 goals in 14 minutes, including a goal that was scored through the smoke from the one that they just scored. You always like that little back-to-back goal there. Second goal for Birmingham in the night was an own goal in the 90th. Truly terrible clearance attempt from a Louisville City midfielder on a cross from the in-line. So Trevor says overall from the last month or so, it's most of what we've seen this year. Good shot stopping with some slight improvement in composure and communication. The aggression in coming out to meet the ball is more measured while still being effective. Free kick coverage has tightened up. with none of the issues we saw early in the season. Trevor says he would still like to see Damian play with the ball at his feet a little bit more, but not really who this Louisville City team is. He says Louisville has played 13 of their 30 league matches and has not lost. They are first in the East, first in the Shield standings, tied for first in goals allowed, tied for second in goals scored, second in goal differential, and first in XG differential. And then kind of what we were talking about with Damian earlier, we've got these stats here from Trevor. Damian Loss is second in USL in clean sheets, second in save percentage, tied for first in goals allowed per 90, and Trevor can't find expected goals on target or any other advanced stats for USL goalkeepers. So if somebody knows where to find that, let Trevor know and let us know, because we would love to see that as well. But very comprehensive monthly update there from Trevor. So salute to Trevor and keep it up, Damian.
Absolutely. Damian, that team too, man. They're good.
Yeah, I mean, they've been last year, obviously, they were great too,
Yep.
but continuing that here this year. And you like to see those stats for Damian. It's not just that he's playing on a great team, but the save percentage being highest in the league, that is also telling. So let's go ahead. We'll close this out with a little nonsensey, the best ball update. So we had our first best ball double game week, right? With the only 5 matches 2 weeks ago when we played Colorado, and then the full slate last weekend. So some good news and some bad news for the good guys here in the North End. The bad news is Soccer-Wise wins the week E. 58 points for Goss and crew. They are now tied again with us in third place. But the good news is we made up 8 points on Phil in second, Verde all day. We made up 14 points on the We Are Austin TV boys out there in first. So Moon Tower also strong week, 53. Verde Pendant, slip up. It's a tough road for those boys the rest of the way. So everything still to play for here, so to speak. A lot of games left and still another transfer window draft coming up here in a few weeks. So looking forward to that. Anything else for you here on our best ball nonsense?
John, I can't believe Goss has worked his way up like that. That's
I
impressive.
know.
Yeah.
I can believe it. You know, he's just one of the biggest MLS minds, biggest MLS pundits.
The guy knows a couple things.
Look, he's right on par with the North End, clearly.
Yeah.
So one reminder to those of you who, follow the picks that we give out at the northendpodcast.com. Austin FC doesn't play again until next Saturday, again on the road against Seattle Sounders. But there is a full MLS slate here on Wednesday. So if you want to tail those picks, Wednesday morning, we'll have that article up at thenorthendpodcast.com. And again, remind you all to sign up at Underdog Fantasy. The MLS season is here. If you want to make some picks on your favorite players in sports, check out Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game. You choose higher or lower on between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. Underdog is available in 33 states, including right here in Texas. To sign up, click the link in the description of this video and use promo code NORTHEND at sign up, and you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick to get you started. So join the millions of fans who have won billions on Underdog. Again, promo code NORTHEND at sign up. The link to sign up is in the description of this episode, both on the YouTube and the audio version. So you click that link, enter the promo code NORTHEND at sign up. You get your bonus cash, you get your free pick. Then you head to the northendpodcast.com on Wednesday to see what we're rolling with in the midweek. Anything else for you before we shut it down here on episode 234?
Oh, no. Thanks for the questions, y'all. Appreciate it. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can expect another one of those, I don't know, 2 years from now, right? Seems to be our cadence. So, I second that. Appreciate everybody for participating. And I'm looking forward to whenever the next listener questions episode is. That was a blast. So hope you all had fun as well. And we appreciate you tuning in and sticking with us if you made it this far on episode 234. We will be back on Wednesday, recapping everything that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then, and of course, previewing Austin FC's road match against Seattle Sounders, previewing the second team's return to Palmer Field Friday against Sporting KC2, a team that does not have a win.
Ooh.
I feel like we're going to be pulling the lever on Wednesday for FCito. All of that and everything else, of course, that happens between now and then. Enjoy the beginning of your week, everybody. We will do the same, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday for another episode. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Why not? Victory song.
running high. We're here to talk football, Austin FC, all pride. ZG and E will take you on this ride, week by week, side by side. It's Action 1, 2, 3, we're the rowdiest in town. The Pirates, Damon, Uncle Dave, and Big Fudge all around. We sing our songs, we chant as one. Through thick and thin, the match day's just begun. In the North End, we stand together. Through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, the North End will never let go. Under the lights of Q2, our home, our sacred ground.